we go. And I see we have Leona. Hi, Leona. You're muted. If you want to unmute, you can hit the space bar if you're on a computer.
The mouse was on.
It didn't had no arrow. It wasn't all the way down.
You have to click it once.
There you go.
Okay.
It hides sometimes.
It does.
How's everybody today?
Good morning.
Doing great, Leona. How about you?
Pretty good.
Well, Jan, you're all dressed up. Holy cow. Shared the beard. What? Where's the beard?
That's gone.
I see that. Yeah. Holy cow.
Well, I don't want to share much, but I'm in my underwear, so.
Yeah. He's in the commission offices, and I will vouch he's wearing jeans.
Oh, okay.
I'm disappointed.
No pajama bottoms even.
I don't think I would have got through security.
Probably not.
We could say, please stand.
All right. It looks like everyone has joined us, Jan. Bill's on as well. So it was only 2 minutes late.
Good. So we'll, I guess we'll get started here. We'll call the December 13th Tug Hill Commission meeting to order. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday. And let's all hope that 2022, we get, I know I said this last year, but let's hope that 2022 is a little bit more semblance of order and safe. So let's, it's a good thing to wish. So happy holidays to everyone here. In your packets and your emails that Katie sent out last week, Friday, we have a proposed agenda for today. If there's no questions or concerns about it, can I have a motion to accept that the agenda as proposed?
I'll do that.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
That's carried. Okay. Also in the same email that Katie had sent out, our last meeting was September 20th in West Carthage. It was a combination Zoom West Carthage in-person meeting. She had sent the minutes to that meeting to each of us. For those of us who joined that meeting virtually or by Zoom, we can honestly say that was electronically challenging. So, but in reviewing the minutes this past weekend, they look pretty correct. So I hope you all had an opportunity to look at those minutes. If there's any concerns or questions about it, you can bring it up. If not, can I have a motion to accept those September meeting minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion.
It's Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. You know, our thoughts and our prayers do go out to those folks that were impacted by the tornado that went through the Midwest last week. A lot of folks have been impacted, a lot of loss of life, you know, through Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Indiana, and Southern Illinois. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those folks that were impacted by that devastation here. On a local level, I hope everybody is unscathed by our Saturday night windstorm. You know, I know there's still a lot of folks, at least in Lewis County, I see that are out of power. You know, our power did come back up. As far as internet, you know, in Lewis County, I see some of the rural towns like Pinckney and Montague. It's going to be a while without internet because those new internet high-speed fiber optics lines were just shredded in that storm. So hopefully everybody's safe and everybody made it through that storm okay without any damage. I do understand that we had sustained winds from the Doppler in Montague that clocked about 59 miles an hour for a 2-hour period. So it's amazing that there's not more damage, but the damage that we see around the county and the region, the Tug Hill region, as well as along the shorelines of Lake Ontario, it's it's amazing. But again, hopefully everybody survived that with no issues. I want to thank the commission members that attended our annual commission meeting that was held in October at Tailwater. I think it was a great meeting. It was a great turnout. I want to thank the fiddlers for giving their services again. They did great. And one of the things that we did see is our very first community recognition awards that were given out. We gave out 2. One was given out to the Martinsburg Cemetery Association for all the work that they've done in cataloging and cleaning up the cemeteries that have been abandoned for years. And then, of course, the second award went to DeFerriet for their park and playground restoration program. So very nice meeting. Again, thanks to commission members for attending that meeting. Also, I want to thank the commission members that attended the Cooperative Tug Hill Council and the Northern Oneida County Council of Government annual meetings. Those were good turnouts. They were great venues. Those were good meetings. I appreciate it. And when we meet in person like that, it tends to bring your spirits up, especially in light of the pandemic. So it's again, thanks to all who attended. I do want to apologize to Katie. I guess I stole her thunder at the Tailwater, the annual meeting here. I made an announcement before she did that we'll be having our local leadership conference on April 19th at Turning Stone. I didn't think about that, but I apologize, Katie, for stealing your thunder.
Okay.
So today there's a lot going on, and I'm going to give this to Katie to be her own advocate and talk, so I don't steal any more of her thunder. But there's a lot going on at the commission right now. We've had some good successes and a lot of work that's being done.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Also, today we'll have ethics training, which that should be painless. We hope that'll be as part of today's meeting. And also, I wanted to talk. Katie and I have been discussing over the last month or two what is the right balance for the commission to meet annually or monthly to really conduct business. So what is that balance between having a meeting that's productive, that's timely in order to get things accomplished, but yet also we've got to think about our councils of governments and our member towns. How are we making sure that we have an opportunity to have the meetings in each of our council of government areas and going to townships that haven't seen us in a while? Unfortunately, we don't really get a big turnout in a lot of those meetings. So we kind of question that to some degree, but really Katie and I are kind of just brainstorming what is the right balance of how often we need to meet and how often we need to represent ourselves to the public here. We currently meet 9 times a year to conduct business. And in looking this, we're just, our thoughts are that maybe going to 8 meetings per year from 9, and really kind of looking at a potential of reducing or eliminating the May meeting. And really what I wanted to do is I want to just throw that out there and see if there's any concerns or any thoughts about that, any ideas, if that makes sense. Now, keep in mind, one of the things we can do is we can go back, and if you wanted to have 12 meetings a year, we could do that. Hopefully, we got business enough to accomplish that. But I just wanted to throw it out to the commission members to see what your thoughts are, reducing to go to 8 business meetings per year, and just kind of targeting the May meeting to reduce. Any thoughts? Any comments?
I don't see any problems with going to 8 meetings a year. I mean, the months that we don't have meetings, if something comes up, we can always call one.
Right. Right.
I agree with Tom on that also.
I agree. Well,
Okay.
I have a question. Will we still be getting a report from Katie and the months were off? I know when I reduce meetings, I have to continue with the director's report with the board members.
I'd be happy to do that. Currently the meetings, the months we don't meet are February, July, and November. And I haven't done director's reports in those months, but I easily could and would be happy to, if that's what the commissioners would like.
I
It
think
would keep us mostly up to date.
Yeah, I think especially in May, because we're going to want to have some feedback on how the new venue worked for the local government conference. You know, it's going to be a challenge in a way, because it's going to really place you a lot further away from the commission office. And I think that we would like to have feedback, you know, on any problems that come up or how well done. And maybe to do that.
What do you think, Katie? Does that make sense to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. A report on the months that we don't meet is very, very doable and would help me make sure I'm giving you the information you need anyway. And you're right, Jerry, this May in particular will be an interesting, you know, we can get you information out on the survey that we will do at the LGC right away, you know, as soon as we compile the information from the surveys from attendees. But it will be a discussion point for commissioners too, as we look towards 2023 and how we deal with the LGC.
I think when the meetings were originally set up way back when, it was a lot different than it is now. Our communication is so much better now, and anything could be attended to on a daily basis if it was needed. I hate to not see you all in person, but it probably is a good thing to do.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I got to ask one question here. In the last 2, 3 years, 4 years, maybe at the most, I have never seen anything on here prior to the town of Turin having a meeting there. I know at one time we did have, but I've never seen Turin on the schedule, you know, for your meetings at all. Now, is it not, they're not getting back to you, or what is the reason? Maybe.
No, we've been, so the last 2 or 3 years, we have a document, and I could share this all with you. And we've been keeping track of where the commission meetings have been held since the mid 90s. And in the last few years, I've looked at that every year with circuit riders and said, okay, where haven't we been in a long time? And we've been playing catch up, because there were a few communities, honestly, that we've never been to, and then a few that had been a long time. So Turin's probably coming back up in the rotation, I'm sure. But we can always adjust locations if there's a good reason too. I mean, you know, if Turin has something great going on that we would want to be there to see it, we could add them in. And yeah, I'm always open to feedback about locations, but just the thought process that we've been using the last few years for locations.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. That's all right.
Any other questions or concerns about this meetings? Okay, if there isn't any, I'd like to see if we could have a motion to accept our proposed 2022 business meeting locations and times as presented.
I'll move.
Do you have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Very good. Also, one other topic. Now that we have a new governor that's kind of in place here, gone through some of her initiation time. What I'm understanding, what I'm hearing in Albany is that she is loosening up some of the appointments that have been sitting out there for agencies, for commissions, for authorities. She's not afraid to actually appoint somebody to some of these organizations, state organizations that have openings. Now, as you're all aware, we've been down 2 people for well, quite a long time, I guess. And really what gives us an opportunity now to kind of think about this, and I'm asking for your commission members' help. We really would like to get a couple of governor's appointments in place here so we can complement the board here. And what it looks like right now, if you look at our bylaws, the way we structure it, we really need somebody in Oneida County. Is that correct, Katie?
Yes, we only have currently one sitting commissioner, Larry. Jerry, your thing says Larry, and I gotta fix that. I'm gonna rename you just a second. We have Jerry from Oneida County and no one else.
So, but the appointments would be governor appointments, not Senate or Assembly, correct?
Correct.
So if anyone has any ideas, I'm not saying that this is going to be simple, but I think it's going to be, let's put it this way, easier than it's been in the past to get somebody nominated and then to go through a governor's appointment process. Also, I'm not saying it's going to be simple. You're going to have to get fingerprinted and all that good stuff. So, you know, the background check and all that good stuff. But if you could, if there's anybody, and you know, all of us touch Oneida County, Jerry, you being there, but if you can come up with some names, I would be more than happy to make a run on some of these folks to see if we can get a full complement of 9 board members. Any questions on that?
Oh,
Any other appointment can come from any county, correct?
Right.
Be an at-large.
At
Yes.
large, correct. Yep. So good. So in an effort not to steal Katie's thunder, I'm going to turn it over to her. Okay.
Thanks, Jan. No, I don't mind you stealing my thunder. People need to hear things more than once anyway, in order for it to sink in. Yeah, let's go through the executive director's report. I'm trying to keep all these things kind of brief, so it gives us time for the ethics training at the end. But please feel free to ask me if you want more detail on anything. You know, COVID is still one of the top things dealing with both in the office and with our communities. We see the remote meeting demand slightly increasing in our communities. Certain towns and villages want it more than others, as has been the case throughout the pandemic. We're waiting for extension of the state authority to do that. I think right now it goes through mid-January. I fully expect that that will be extended by a few months, which will allow us to hold our January commission meeting remotely again, and more town and village board meetings remote as well. There's a new mask mandate in effect from the governor starting today. We have been wearing masks in the state office building. We're supposed to be wearing masks in the state office building when you're not in your individual office all the time. But we'll see that more broadly now in the communities as well. We did comply with the governor's office requirement to report vaccination status or have testing done for any staff that aren't fully vaccinated. And so we continue to monitor how that will perhaps evolve over time, but we did comply. Hiring. So we've been talking about hiring for a while. I have one good news piece to report, that we are promoting Jen Harville to the projects director position that Jean was in. So the paperwork is waiting the final touches, but we've gotten most of it in, no red flags, just waiting for a couple more signatures and final budget approval. But congratulations to Jen. She's not on here today, but she is our new director, and she's already been starting to take on many of the duties there. So in regards to the other 3 positions, 2 project specialists and 1 planner position that we have been advertising and interviewing for, we've made 2 offers on the project specialist position. Both of those candidates have accepted the offers, but we're still dotting some I's and crossing some T's. So I don't want to share those names with you quite yet, in case something changes and we have to adjust. The planner position, we did not have a very robust response to our advertisement. I can't remember the number, but it was, you know, less than 10 resumes that we received. We reviewed them pretty carefully. We did 3 interviews. The interview team for all 3 of those positions was me, Matt, Jen, and Nikki as the circuit rider representative. We did make an offer to a person for the planning position, but he ultimately, we couldn't come to an agreement on the salary. So he has declined that. That all happened last week. So we are now regrouping and getting the word out about our position opening. Being more strategic, we've reached out to the 3 planning schools in New York State and asked them to share the job description with their student and alumni network emails. We've also been reaching out personally to some potential candidates or people that we know of. And I think we may end up going back out and at least advertising on the upstate New York chapter of the American Planning Association's website. We talked to our counterparts in county planning offices. Jefferson County has had a really hard time filling planning positions. Their staff is way down right now. So it's not just us. There seems to be a dearth of planners coming out of school and looking for these kind of entry-level jobs. So we also have modified the job requirements about a little bit. Before it was a master's or a bachelor's with 2 years of relevant experience. We've stepped back on the 2 years and just said some relevant experience. We've also changed the requirement for a robust experience with GIS and just said familiarity with GIS, hoping that by modifying this a little bit, we'll get some new candidates. But we really do need to get a planner in here. We are in high demand for planning. And so we are, this is #1 priority is to work on trying to get some candidates there. The regional map, that's been done and printed. We are in the process of getting individualized maps printed and mounted for all of our towns and villages and then delivered in January, February timeframe. If you recall, we did this the last time we had a new regional map, and when you go around to town and village offices, you'll often see them hanging on the wall. They really like those, and it's kind of a tangible way for them to remember us and see their place in the region and kind of create some of that regional identity. So those will be done here at the beginning of the new year and out soon after. We are also, in terms of our outreach, going through and coming up with several ways to improve our display and tabling efforts. Many of you helped with our display at the county fairs this last summer, and we plan to do county fairs again this upcoming summer, and we are looking to kind of improve our image. We've got a banner that's being designed and we'll be printing. We're going to have some new handouts, a Tug Hill, what's it called? A wheel, you spin it and it's like a, gosh, Elena, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a trivia wheel, where it'd be a little bit more interactive and build on some Tug Hill trivia and knowledge. We've got a Tug Hill coloring book that is being put together that could be a giveaway for some of the kids and builds on the Tug Hill themes of outdoors and snow and farming and wind farms and all kinds of stuff like that. And some other just improved language and images on our table display to increase that presence that we give out to the public. Some regional projects, minimum maintenance roads. We continue, as you know, we've kind of got this new approach that we are talking to our legislators about that would be more specific to just a very minor modification to highway law rather than the big involved statewide bill. Had a positive meeting with Assemblyman Blankenbush and Assemblyman Barclay on this in the last couple of weeks. Have talked to Griffo's staff, haven't talked to the senator himself, trying to position a new bill to be submitted here anytime for the upcoming legislative session. Talked to Jan a little bit about it this morning and may be looking to have some personal outreach to the senator's office, and also kind of discussing what town or towns would be included in that bill. Really just need to have just one included to weaken basically that section of law to allow it to be just not broadly applied, and would position our communities much better to have their minimum maintenance roads laws not challenged. But is there some reasoning to expand it to several towns? Do we talk about the Tug Hill Core Forest and how that relates to minimum maintenance roads? So we can talk about, as kind of like the argument for minimum maintenance roads. There's a lot at play there, and we're having lots of conversations, and it hasn't been settled yet because we have no bill submitted yet. But just know that is something that's on my to-do list all the time. And maybe asking people to help with that at certain points in time moving forward. Broadband, our page on our website is up that focuses about broadband. It has a draft map where people can be interactive and click on different layers and zoom into their locations. We approached all of our counties and other regional partners with a GIS data sharing agreement because there is some sensitive information in the broadband data sets that we wanted to make sure was protected. And we are waiting to get some of those data agreements signed and back, and some of the data to be finalized. I know Mike shared that Oswego County, I think, was considering that data sharing agreement last week at their legislative meeting. And I know some others are pending as well. But we did have a really positive couple of conversations about the Adirondack Central School, which is Boonville Forestport area. They have some real issues with internet connections for their students in certain areas. They are interested in trying to think outside the box in terms of improving internet. So we will be organizing a meeting in January among several players in that area, including the towns in the two counties, because it's kind of a crossover Lewis Oneida County project, to see what we could be doing to help position them to go after some funding and make internet improvements. LGC. So as Jan said, we're going to be at Turning Stone, and Jerry, you're right. It's a farther distance for staff in Watertown that are organizing it, but interestingly, it's a lot closer to Albany. So as I've been talking about it, there's a lot more interest than usual of people from Albany coming up to attend. I mean, we also moved it past the budget deadline. So we're, mid-April. So there's not that total focus on finalizing the budget that we would typically have at the end of March. Have invited the governor to come and speak if she would so like to. Got a response back from her office that they'll put it as a possibility and get back to us as it gets closer. It's not that far of a stretch for her to get there. Also, I think we may see more of our state representatives, our state senators and state assemblymen there too, because it is, again, closer and outside of the budget season, which will be exciting, but will be much more complicated in terms of all those introductions and making sure people are acknowledged. And I will be looking for help on that for sure. I think I sent it to you, but I'm going to share it on the screen. This has already been slightly modified, but this is the registration mailer that will go out here at the end of December, beginning of January, to all of our towns and village officials and lots of other people on our mailing list about the conference. So again, the date and the location change, the fee change from 50 to 75 for the regular registration fee. And then we've went to 150 for kind of late and 200 at the door. We're really trying to discourage people from showing up at the door. It becomes a real problem for us and for the facility. Again, as we have in the last few years, there's two ways to register, one being online with a credit card and a second being filling out a paper form that is going to be available online and then sending it in with a check or voucher to the office. We did put a disclaimer here that it is impossible to predict the status of the pandemic in the spring of 2022 and to register early in case we are required to limit attendance for public health reasons. And my thought behind that is if we are still in the throes of of some surge, or who knows what, we may want to keep the number of people in each room at some percentage of the capacity. You know, maybe we're looking at 75% capacity or something like that, so we can be spreading people out. So that's on there. And then I'm not going to go through all of these sessions, but I will just say overall, I think we have an amazing program lined up. We have, you know, the basics that people are looking for. We have timely topics about emergency management, you know, services. We are getting the new people from the open government. Kristen O'Neill is the deputy director there. We've got the open meetings law, that kind of thing back in play. We've got some new things. We've got cannabis that's going to be discussed. We've got people from the Office of Renewable Energy siting coming. So to talk about 94C, I mean, some big topics that many of our communities are dealing with on a regular basis. ARPA, we're going to be having an Association of Towns coming to talk about ARPA funding, how to report it, other federal funding that's coming down, because there's a lot coming and it's very overwhelming and confusing for our communities. So very excited about this day. I think people are really excited to be back in person. Hopefully we will be past what we're having right now by then. Luckily it gets us into April, and maybe you know, better weather, surges will be over. It's all, you know, kind of a crapshoot at this point, but we'll do what we have to do to keep the event as safe as possible. And we've been watching what other people are doing. Association of Towns is having their in-person February training in New York City. Lots of other places are back to in-person. So it's not like we're an outlier. Other people are doing this, and we're just going to learn from how they're doing it so we can do it safely.
How long does it take you to get to the Turning Stone from Watertown?
From Watertown, it's about an hour and a half, about the same as it takes from Trenton to Watertown. And we will be asking, so we have a number of rooms reserved both at Turning Stone and at a nearby hotel. And we will need to know from staff and commissioners pretty much by the beginning of January who plans to stay over in those rooms, so we can reserve them for us and not make them available to attendees. So please let myself or Felicia know what your plans are. I know I certainly plan to spend the night down there. We'll be having the commission meeting the evening before, followed by the speaker dinner. So it'll be a late evening. And it'd be a lot more convenient just to stay on site than to be traveling around the countryside, in my opinion. So please just let us know. And the last thing I will say is we're all waiting for the consolidated funding application grants to be announced. There have been some DRI announcements coming out of the governor's office, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, which tells me the CFAs should be soon. I would think they'd be before the holidays. But don't know. I know we're getting questions from places asking us if we've heard, but nothing yet. And that's all I've got. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know I went through a lot fast.
Katie?
Yep.
Mike, we did pass a resolution at the county to share information with the commission last month. So we're all set to go on that.
Great. Great. Thanks, Mike.
Any more questions?
No, the one thing I want to say is I'm happy you picked the Turning Stone, because I think it's going to be a fantastic venue. And I'm a card member there, so I'm happy about that too. So, but no, the venue is large, and I think that even if we're in a modified COVID stance, there's enough room to fit most of all the people within the training classes, because I've been there for other conferences and it's really nice. So I compliment you guys making that deal.
Thank you, Bill.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess potluck, Council of Government reports. How do you want to handle this?
I think
It looks
each
like
of the
we got
circuit riders,
representation across the board here, so.
yeah, we've got them all here. So they've all got a couple of minutes to do their report if they so choose.
Yeah. Who'd like to start?
I can go first. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, good morning. Probably the big thing this time of year is that municipalities are wrapping up the town fiscal year, and several of my municipalities are preparing to bring in some new supervisors and town board members. And Tug Hill has organized an association of towns presentation on what newly elected officials need to know for Wednesday, January 15th, December 15th, which is most welcome. Everybody's looking forward to that, I think. And beyond that, it's the usual year-end stuff and getting ready to start the new year.
By the road?
Okay. Any questions? Moving on. Who would like to be
All
next?
right, I'll go fast.
Okay, thanks.
Village of Adams, which is our newest member, is working on a playground. They have a community committee that's got some trustees on it. Jen and Carla have helped them submit a grant, and so we're waiting to hear on that. I have several towns working on solar laws, towns and villages working on solar laws, Constableville, Osceola, and Montague. We have in Rodman and Adams, there was a meeting about a non-motorized trail going from near the Adams, one of the Adams schools. So Katie went to that meeting. So that's in the works. The brick block building in Turin, cleanup has been going on after it came down and then caught on fire. So hopefully that'll be cleaned up soon. Town of Worth is working on or talking about possibly going to an appointed assessor. They're the only municipality I have left that has elected assessors. But as usual in Worth, there's quite a kerfuffle going on about that. I still have a few towns finishing up cannabis, local law, opt-outs, lots of ARPA questions. Everybody's looking for highway workers all over the Hill. Last Thursday night, Matt and I did a little discussion about cooperative ZBAs for Mickey's folks. I have one of my circuit riders, my associate circuit riders is resigning at the end of January. So I've got an associate circuit rider search going on at the moment. And new officials, I've got only one new mayor, no new supervisors, some assorted board members, and a couple highway superintendents, a town clerk, and a new judge for the Consolidated Court in Lorain and Worth. I have two new Lewis County legislators coming on. And in Williamstown Wednesday night, they had a moment of silence because they recently lost two officials. Their historian, who's been there for like 30 years, and their deputy clerk have both passed away. So that's my news.
Angie, Forsport and Boonville both recently passed solar laws. I think Forsport's is on their website. I don't know about Boonville's. If you want to share those, that would be fine.
Okay. Matt met briefly with Constableville in December, and I think he's doing Montague in January. So I'll let him know about that. Thanks, Jerry.
Any more questions for Angie? Okay, we have Mickey and John. Who wants to go next?
I'll jump in quick. Yeah, kind of like what Angie's saying, a lot of the towns are still dealing with, especially in Northern Nettie County, the solar laws and possible moratoria with a lot of them while they work things out. ARPA questions are always there. Cannabis, because the opt-out is the end of the month. It was a hot topic here this past month. One of the things we're facing going at the end of this month, we lose one of our executive committee members, Mark Turchak. So we're working on replacing Mark. We have a couple of names. I'm not sure if anything's gonna happen with it, but we'll see. a big thing with NOCOG too is the website. We made the move, jumping from digital towpath, and it's going to be something we're going to do on our own. Just got the ownership of the domain name, the nocog.org name, last week. So the start of the year should be hopefully some website building, and hopefully some more information on there. As Katie had mentioned, working with the Adirondack School District, I know it was kind of a spinoff of working with ACS on their broadband, and it's kind of funny. It started with a simple email, but now it's working out to be a multi-faceted thing here. But Angie had brought it up about inviting some of the schools to the local government conference. So kind of working on some of the details of that too, and that should be interesting. Couple new supervisors in our town. We did, a few of our towns, we did have a town, Rumson actually, that had nobody on the ballot, so they had to do some write-ins, which was, you talk about not having, workers, and planners. You also, in some places, don't even have people that want to run for public office anymore. So it's kind of a concerning trend in parts of Oneida County. Other than that, that's probably about it. We always seem to have something going on.
John, you had mentioned communities opting out of the cannabis law. What's your thoughts? What are you seeing the concerns to be in Oneida County with the cannabis law?
Well, the question that I fielded most this month, Jen, was, has anybody opted out yet? And locally in NOCOG, nobody has. There was talk in Holland Patton of possibly opting out. They decided not to. The only community that I know of that I've heard of is down in Clinton, actually. And I can probably see why Clinton, the village of Clinton, wouldn't want that, because they have that storybook kind of old town theme. So they probably don't want that element. Town of Trenton looked at it, but then they figured regardless of how the state mandates it, depending on the cut that they get, 1% or 10% is better than 0%. The big question, I think, with the smaller towns but larger land was the agricultural aspect of it, because from what I understand, the retail side can be legislated locally, but if it's an agribusiness, it's kind of like large scale solar projects. Everything's done at the state level. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have a cannabis farm in the town of Trenton, I think the permitting application, everything is done at the state level, and it's all taken care of at the state level. So they had questions for me about that unfortunately I had no answers to, because I don't know that even their town attorney was going to do some more research to find the ag side of it. But the retail side, and I don't know about if the retail side is also the on-site consumption side, because I guess there's that part of it as well. So far, none of our towns have opted out. But I have heard that they're just wondering if anybody else has.
So I just dropped a link in the chat. We had this in Untitled Times last edition too. We were on a call with Department of State, several of us a couple weeks ago, and they alerted us to this map that's out there that's tracking opt-ins and opt-outs statewide for cannabis. So it's a pretty interesting map if you want to take a look at it sometime.
I can just add, Jan, almost all of my communities have opted out at this point. Many of them just because of the lack of information that's been out, with plans to eventually opt back in. But as you know, in a lot of, especially the court towns, they don't like to jump into stuff until they have some information. So almost all of my towns have either opted out or in the process of opting out until there's more information.
Right.
And I think with Clinton, that's where Hamilton College is. I think when you get into a college town, there may be more concerns.
Tell us how you feel, Jerry.
Just numbering. So
yeah. Well, there's on April 19th, when we have our local leadership conference, we have invited a speaker from the New York State Cannabis Group. So we're hoping that by that time we'll have some some good give and take from one of the principals at that group there. So that's going to be good. Hey, the other thing you had mentioned, John, also is that, you know, the concern about if you can't find highway employees or municipal employees, you know, the struggle is going to be, how do we replace and how do we find good quality people that are going to run these communities? Either a supervisor, superintendent, town board members, mayors, that type of thing. And, you know, one of the observations that when I attended the Cooperative Tug Hill Council annual meeting and also the Northern Oneida County Council of Government meetings, everybody in the room was a gray hair like me. And it's truly concerning what's these communities going to look like from now to 10 years from now, and who's going to take all of our places. And that's something we got to think about. It's a deep concern. So if any other questions of John?
I will just say, John, that nice job at your first annual meeting at NOCOG. I know it's very stressful and lots of moving parts, but it went very well.
Yeah, absolutely ditto. And then hopefully that at the next cooperative or at the next Northern Oneida County Council of Government meeting, John, you'll actually pronounce my name.
What's so hard about Jan?
Don't count it. No guarantees.
Okay. Very good. Thanks. Okay. Now, Mickey.
Yep. So the LED lighting construction is currently underway. They're over in Carthage right now, swapping lights out. When I went to visit them last week, they said everything's been going really well. So, and they're going to be adding another crew on here this week, I think. Is going to be coming in. So it'll be 2 crews going, installing lights. So that's good. That's all underway. Been working on websites for Denmark and Wilna. Wilna just completed last week and work on Denmark, which will give RACOG several websites now that we'll be maintaining, which will be the RACOG's main website. And then we have Casterland, Champion, Copenhagen, DeFeriot, Denmark, Town of Allowable, and Town of Wilna now will all be having their websites hosted through RACOG. New Bremen requested to join RACOG at the last RACOG board meeting. It was approved pending final approval from the New Bremen Town Board for them to join. Their interest in joining was being a part of the cooperative ZBA. And right now it's mainly all Jefferson County communities in that cooperative ZBA, and there's 5 of them. So they really didn't want to grow any bigger than what they had. So they're supportive of them joining, but they'd like to see a second cooperative ZBA form for Lewis County and call it either South or Lewis County or whatever. So that's where Angie came in with Matt, and they did a presentation about cooperative ZBAs to answer any questions that some of the communities might have related to that. It's because I think we will have enough in Lewis County to form a second one. And then last week, Town of Croghan reached out to me, and they have interest in also joining RACOG. So they asked for some information. I passed that along to them. Basically, they heard it from Cassandra Buell. She's the planning director over at Lewis County, and she's also a board member for the New Bremen. So she had been talking to Croghan, so they have interest in joining also. That'd be the town. We have the joint comp plan hearing for the final draft for Allowable, and that's scheduled for January. And Elena and I have been talking together about, you know, what we can do, putting that onto a website and making it kind of interactive for the public. We were just talking last week about some different things that we might be able to do there. So I think we kind of got a little bit of a plan of attack for that. And Wilna, Carthage, and DeFeriot are potentially interested in taking part. Lewis County is doing a community choice aggregation project for their communities, of any of those that are interested. And those 3 Jefferson County communities have expressed that they might be interested in joining in with that larger group. And Lewis County is open to them being a part of that. So I've been making the connections with them and the consultant, who is Jules Assets. They'll be handling the administration of that project there. I'll be having new supervisors coming in for 3 of my towns, which would be Champion, Denmark, and Lowville. And so there'll be some changeover happening there, as well as Bruce Ferguson was the vice chair for RACOG. And I do not believe he'll be continuing in that role once he retires here as supervisor. So we'll be meeting at some point with Sarah Bullock over at Carthage. She's trying to pull together a meeting with that pellet car developer, Ron Trottier, just to try to talk. She wants to see what can be done to try to help get things moving with that project and the pellet cars, and try to get a plan in place, I guess. So she reached out and invited me to participate in that. We're going to have a Friends of the Black River meeting this Thursday. Carla's been facilitating that group, and we have Heidi Lehman from Casterland's been kind of the lead on this project, but we've been doing historical sites along the Black River, and we're going to be looking to put those historical sites on the blackrivernY.com website that's hosted by the Thousand Islands Tourism Council. And to do that, we actually are going to be having a Fort Drum intern coming on board starting mid-January and going until mid-May. And we already did an interview with Katie and Jen, Matt, and I kind of met with them online, and basically I think he's going to be a good fit, and he's going to be working on some of that stuff, getting that information. I don't know if you have any other questions for me.
Mickey, I just had I just saw on YouTube a video, which was the history of the village of Copenhagen that was done last year. It's an 1.5-hour video, and it's incredible. I mean, it gives house by house who lived there from 1880 to the current, how they transitioned. And the sad thing about it, there's no credits on this. It didn't say who did it. Do you any idea who did that? Or
no, I haven't seen the video. Now I'm going to have to go look.
Go do it. It's one of the most incredible historic videos, especially on a town that I know. But the sad thing about it, there was no forwards, there was no credits on who did it. It was done last year. So I was curious if you knew about that. So
no, but now I'm going to go look. Do you know? Did it say the name of who posted it on YouTube or?
No, it didn't. It just type in history of Copenhagen, New York, and it'll pop up first thing.
Well, I can find out for sure.
Okay.
Your sources there that I
can track it down, Mick.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the river area? Okay. Katie, you want to run right into the finance report?
Sure. So Felicia put together a financial report. You all had it on your email. Nothing unusual here. Things are pretty much on board, a little bit over on a few slots like the advertising because of the open positions that we have, under on quite a few of the other lines. The one thing I did want to ask, so we have 17,000 and change in unallocated non-personal services. And we've been trying to get some more laptops ordered. We had ordered 3 back in the spring, late spring, and it took them about 4 or 5 months to get here. And we wanted to test these new laptops we ordered. They're a little bit better than typical because the old laptops that we have, we're having a hard time running all the different programs we're using now that we're in this remote environment half the time. And so the 3 new laptops came, they work great. So we just ordered 10 more for all of the current staff and the new staff coming on board. So we'll all be good to go. So I need actually some of that unallocated allocated to the computer equipment line. I would say about $11,000 if we could have approval to do that, please.
We have a motion to allocate that $11,000 to the computer equipment line.
I so move, Leona.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that's everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on finance, Katie?
No, unless Felicia had something.
There be any training needed for that, Katie?
For the computers?
Yeah.
you know, it might not be a bad idea. And we're going to be running the same kind of programs that we're currently running, but we're hoping to be able to make better use of Microsoft Teams with the new computers. And some of that OneDrive, Microsoft, SharePoint, it does get a little bit confusing about the best way to use it all to increase productivity. So that might be something to look at, is maybe having somebody from the outside come in and do an hour or two overview and training to give us better skills to do that, especially when the new staff come on board, because that would get us all on the same page. So good idea.
Well, I've always pushed for training. It's not as important now as it used to be, because everybody, you know, has one, but it's good to at least find out whether anybody needs help. Everybody wants Google pages, Google Docs, Google Drives, and it's hard for me to figure it out. I've worked with computers for a long time, but it's difficult.
Yeah, Google is a little different to get your mind around, and we've all been trying to use that some too, because it allows you to share things with people outside of the organization a lot easier. But it is a little different. And then you got so many different drives and accounts going, you can't keep it straight.
Right.
The other training thing I've thought about is potentially having someone go down to the Association of Towns in New York City. We haven't done that in a long time. I think the last time John, Jean, and I went back in 2000s, I don't even remember, but they have a lot of really good trainers, and we've been trying to find an attorney that can speak to the First Amendment and some of the issues we've been seeing with how can communities regulate off, what's the word? I'm losing my train of thought, but how they can regulate some of the speech issues we're seeing with inappropriate signage along roads, inappropriate signs, different places. And those attorneys are hard to come by. And it turns out that Association of Towns is having somebody in New York City, and he's preparing exactly the presentation that we would like to bring to our area. So he basically told me, hey, come to New York City and listen to my presentation, and then maybe I can do it for you. And I thought, oh, geez, that's a long trip for, you know, one presentation. So it's something to keep in mind maybe for the future, because it's a huge event. There's so much going on there, and you do get a lot out of it.
I see in the chat that Mickey did update it. He hunted it down. It looks like that hour-and-a-half video was done by the Copenhagen Central School. So if you're a history buff like I am, and you want to know something about Copenhagen, the village of Copenhagen, it's worth killing an hour and a half and watching it. And there's the link. So thanks, Mickey.
Welcome.
Okay. Any public comment? Any questions? Any concerns? Any statements? Anybody have anything they want to talk about before we get into our ethics training?
I just wanted to mention on a Facebook group called Focus on Lewis County, her name is Brandy Levancha, I think. And she's done in the last couple of days a thing on Boonville. And she goes into depth on the Hulbert House. And I was thinking that might make a good webinar one of these days. So if you're looking for ideas, that might be a place to start.
Good. Anything else? Let's roll right in. Let's become ethical. What do you think?
Sounds good. So anybody who doesn't want to sit through this again, I know Bill's going to sign off because he's already.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Take care.
Good Christmas. Safe New Year, Bill.
Have fun, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Staff already got this at the beginning of the month. They probably don't want it again.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. See you.
Happy holidays. Stay well, everyone.
You too.
Stay safe.
Everybody. Thanks, Lynn.
All right. So it looks like it's just us now, huh? Oh, Paul's still on too. Oh, there he goes. Tim, Felicia. All right. So I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. I'm sharing my screen right now, and this is the plain language guide to the public officers law and other related ethics laws. And I'm just going to talk through this for 10 or 15 minutes, and you can please stop me if you have any questions. I have the screen all minimized, so I can't really see your faces right now, so you'll have to holler. So all this material, a lot of material is available on the JCOPE website. It's jcope.ny.gov. If you're ever like wondering about any of these questions, there's a lot of individual, like 1 or 2 page question and answers to different topics, but this is kind of the overall plain language guide. So we all know what JCOPE is. They were established in 2011. We hear a lot about them in the news related to various ongoing issues in Albany. I'm just going to scroll through this, get to...
You're doing good, Kate.
Yeah, I know. The faster I scroll, the happier you'll be. I wonder if I should even keep recording this. Well, we are still technically in a meeting, so I'll keep going. You all have to do your annual financial disclosure statement. And I think we've got it down pretty well now. It seemed like everyone was able to do it electronically this year. And I thank you all very much for doing that. Required to file the 4 statewide elected officials and then members, directors, employees of any state agency that are designated as policymakers. So you're all policymakers as our board of directors. Also on staff, myself and the 2 directors file financial disclosure statements. So that will be now Matt and Jen. You know what we have to disclose on those different offices that you are holding, ownership in different businesses, just summarized information about your financial interests and outstanding debts. Your financial disclosure statements are not posted on JCOPE's website. Nobody except those 4 statewide elected officials are, so that all your information is confidential. And we know that May 15th is our due date. Sometimes we go past that. But I think we were all pretty much on time this year. I didn't get any emails about that. I've only been getting the ethics emails that it was expired for most of you. So I'm going to scroll through this. And now we're going through their ethics, which you have to do every 3 years. General rule, public officers law, that any officers, employees, and legislative members and employees shall not have any interest, financial or otherwise, direct or indirect, or engage in any business or transaction or professional activity, or incur any obligation of any nature which is in substantial conflict with the proper discharge of your duties in the public interest. So again, this applies to all of you as unpaid officers of such a state entity. There's various standards of conduct that are included in the Code of Ethics. Standard A, impartiality. B and C, disclosing confidential information. D, securing privileges or favors based on your state job or position. I, doing business with the state. F and H, maintaining integrity. And E and G, financial conflicts. So I think we all do a pretty good job of this, but we will talk through these a little bit. I'll start here. So maintaining independent judgment. We don't weigh in on anything. So this one, doesn't really affect us too much in terms of we don't make decisions, we don't regulate. But I would say we also maintain impartiality in the way we work with our communities. We don't prefer one over the other. We treat them all equally. We don't have a lot of confidential information other than some of the personnel information, and we are very careful about the way we share that. I don't think we've had any issues, and we'll continue to work the way we do. I'm not aware of any issues that we've ever had in securing unwarranted privileges or favors for yourself based on your state job and not using the resources of the state for your own personal use, but that is definitely a key thing. Financial conflicts, which are addressed every year in your financial disclosure statement. Integrity standards. So avoiding situations in which you may even appear that you could be influenced or would attempt to influence someone else because of your official position. So, you know, this does come up sometimes because even if it's technically not a conflict or it's not wrong, even the appearance sometimes means you shouldn't do something. So I'll get questions occasionally from staff about certain situations, and I'll use my best judgment, and I can always reach out to Jacob. They have an attorney of the day that you can call up and ask questions of, and I have done that in the past. Business with the state, we are restricted from contracting for work or providing goods or services to entities that are licensed or regulated by our agency. No one's licensed or regulated by our agency, but we kind of expand this to be even broader. You know, we don't contract for work with any state agency, any of our employees, or our board. There are civil penalties associated with violations, which are significant. Up to 10,000 and the value of whatever benefit you received. Other things that don't really affect you, but affect staff, are this reverse 2-year bar. So once you retire, you can't really do things directly with your previous employer for 2 years. Phil, for example, is still in that 2-year cooling off period, but we may try to get him back involved in some things once that's up in January. And then there are certain things that I think you are totally barred from, but they really wouldn't apply to us. This negotiation of future employment, solicited and unsolicited job offers, really has never come up. Again, we don't have entities or individuals that come before us for decisions. And I don't think anyone has ever been approached for a job based on anything like that. Public officers law. So section 73 talks about outside employment and professional activities, restriction on political activities, gifts, honoraria, official expense payments, post-employment restrictions, and nepotism. So again, this section 73 of public officers law also applies to us. And outside activities, well, actually, this is more about staff. Let me go back to this. So statewide elected officials, legislative members and employees, officers and employees of agencies other than unpaid or per diem officers. So this really doesn't really apply to you. So I will skip this section, but just know that as the board members, that this does apply to our staff. And we have at times had to weigh in on outside activities that staff were wanting to take or are undertaking, and making sure that those weren't a conflict. It's usually something that can be addressed and dealt with, but it just does apply and does come up. And there are threshold amounts. So if someone was just having something between 1,000 and 5,000, it only requires my approval. If it's over 5,000, it's also Jacob's approval. So these are examples of outside activities: job, employment, holding an elected or appointed public office, serving as a director or officer of a for-profit entity, even serving as a director or officer of a nonprofit entity. Restriction on political activities. So this is including those in unpaid or per diem positions. So they're prohibited. That would include all of you from serving as an officer of any political party or political organization. Not to say you can belong to it, but you just can't be an officer. Let's see, this is all state employees stuff. Again, you may not be paid or receive compensation in any form if you're interested in, again, this doesn't really apply to any of you. Nepotism, it's just never a good idea to look like you're hiring someone. This is about preferential treatment to a relative in the workplace. State employees are banned from participating in any decision to hire, promote, discipline, or discharge a relative. Or award contracts to a relative. Just best practice, just recuse yourself. Gifts do come up quite a bit. You may accept anything valued at $15 or less. That's the current definition of a gift. In the past, it's been at $0. Before it was, I think maybe way back it was 75. Now it's at 15. So just be careful, like don't let somebody take you out to a fancy dinner where they're trying to get you to do something that costs more than $15 or more. Don't let them try to do anything, get you to do anything, but just be careful of the appearance. And for example, this has come up in the past, going to lunch with consultants, not letting them pay, making sure, you know, we have individual checks. You know, we might be talking about something project related over lunch, which, you know, you do that, but you don't want it to look like they're buying you lunch to try to get to influence your decision or how we interact on that certain project. There are some allowable gifts. That's like an award or a plaque. Like Phil got it from the Planning Federation several years ago, honorary degrees. The promotional items you pick up at the LGC, booths are fine. Meals and beverages when you're at a program like the LGC is fine. Payments for your travel is fine because that's related to your official activity. And also us covering your, you know, your hotel room when you're doing stuff for the commission is fine. I'm going to keep skipping over some of this because it's not really all that relevant. So there is a chart here. If you're wondering about a gift, you can kind of run through it. Again, feel free to always ask me if you have a question. Honorariums, I don't think we've ever run into this where someone is compensated for doing something that's not part of their official duties. So I'm just going to kind of skip over that.
Good.
Again, I just said official activity expense repayments are fine. Let's see, post-employment restrictions. Again, that's employees, not you guys. So I'm going to keep going. Political activity in the workplace. Again, that's in the workplace. So I'm not going to talk about that with you guys as board members. The violations we talked about, pretty hefty. So we really try not to have that happen. And again, JCOB staff is available to address any questions or concerns. They also have formal advisory opinions online in some cases. And in some cases, they're just informal advisory opinions that they'll provide to your specific agency, which we have gotten a few times in the past, mainly related to outside employment. I am the ethics officer, so I'm the first point of contact, and then I can connect people as needed to JCOB. And if there was ever any issue with me, you should go to Jan as the chair, and he would take care of it. So for more information, there's lots of numbers and email addresses that you can contact. And that is kind of the overview, high level of ethics. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very painless. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Kate.
I can't believe nobody has any questions.
No. we won't be getting those.
We don't have any ethics.
we won't get stop that nasty letters we've been getting from the state.
Well, I'm going to get on right after this. I have like a little portal I have to log into, and I have to say that I delivered the ethics training to all of you on today's date. And so then you're good for 3 years. So right. I'll do it today. Hopefully, I don't know what day of the month they were sending those letters out. Was it like the 15th or something? I don't know. So hopefully you won't get another one.
Okay.
And I apologize for letting this get away from me. I lost track of the time.
That's okay.
Hard when you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. This last year and a half, 2 years has been rather exhausting.
For everybody.
Yep.
Next business meeting is going to be Monday, January 24th, and that will be a Zoom meeting. If anyone has anything else, if not, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
Tim, you unmuted. Did you want to say something?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Oh, thanks,
hope you enjoyed that ethics training too.
Oh, yes.
Well, hope everybody has a safe Christmas and New Year's, and we'll see you in January.
Yes, for
So
sure.
I will make a motion to adjourn, Jan.
Thanks. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I second.
All in favor, I'm sure.
Nice.
Have a nice holiday, folks.
Okay,
Merry Christmas,
Thanks, everybody.
everybody. See you next year.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.